Ho ho ho. Ho ho ho. Ho ho ho. Eh, no, give me something good. Give me something good. Oh, dang it. Gone there. Anything. 13.1. Surely it's fine. Alright. Test. Cool. Cool. Okay. I may have an idea, I may not have an idea. I don't know if I have an idea, but I do have an idea. And, ooh. Ad blockers preventing this page from loading. I do not care. Let's see. So, long story short, Reddit post showed this guy on top of a building, and then the building's kind of disappearing into like the fog beneath. And it looks kind of cool, right? But then I've kind of oh, hello show. It's oh, okay. I don't know why my stupid YouTube keeps translating shit. What does the OBS show? The OBS shows the original, right? Cool. My literal YouTube studio one says that you said it's a chicken. I don't know why it does that. It's a chicken. What does that mean, YouTube? Oh, your bruh got translated to bruh. What the fuck? How do you stop this nonsense? There's no option for me to stop this. I'm not gonna waste my time sending feedback though. Haha, I just want to complain. Anyways, YouTube hire me, I'll fix this for you. For like $300,000 a year and 500,000 total comp. Easy fix. I'll have it to you within a day. Wait, no, hang on, that don't get paid. But right, anyway, sorry, what was I talking about? I was looking at this specific video. Maybe it's easier if I just show the video. But it was kind of nice. People are getting sweaty pumps. I was thinking it was really rad. This is pretty cool. Get out of here. And it would be nice, I was thinking, either to have Rhea stand on the edge. Either she's standing on the edge here somehow, or she's standing, you know, horizontal against the building, like this. Like, kind of like she's defying gravity. She's just standing here. Now, it could be kind of one of those interesting... You know, like Ichigo, when he was doing his like internal monologue, he's like on the side of the building for some reason. It's kind of like that. Has no reason, but it just does it. And then the final one would be to sort of expand this idea. I just can't manage to send this now I've shown it. Oh shit, this link is so long I can't even send it. What the fuck? Anyways, if anybody wants the link, I just ask me for it. I'll send it in Discord. Kabuki Mono 1. Hello, welcome. It translated hello Mimi into hey me. We went from greeting me into greeting yourself. Holy shit, YouTube. Insane. Anyways, welcome. Right, I forgot what I was talking about again. Anyways, it doesn't matter. It's fine. I have all my ideas on canvas here. But essentially, the last idea is have her sort of walk on air. Hello, the virus. She can just walk on air into the infinity. So that was what this piece kind of looked like, right? You have the 1 point perspective going in to the ground here, and one more in the distance. Basically, you have two sort of perspective line grids. Sorry, vanishing points. They're not usually shown together, which is the vertical one and the horizontal one, shown together at the same time. Things are slightly fish-eyed and this and that, you know, depends on how you want to represent it. But yeah. Anyways, and I have her walk into the distance, right, into the sun, whatever is the sunset, sunrise, I have no idea. Fish-eye perspective, I have tried. We have tried, but it was mostly by feel. This time around, I think maybe we can just copy the set of notes here. Sorry, I should just use this. This is bigger. But yeah, we might just be able to copy this. It doesn't have to be that tight, right? It just have to be roughly. And then for us, it's actually pretty nice because most of the buildings are kind of just mostly vertical anyways. There's nothing else around. Again, I think the whole idea is space. And I'm not 100% sure how I want to execute it just yet. The current idea is that I will draw out a bigger canvas, right? We have all the space here. For all the space here, we can have one vanishing point here, one vanishing point here. We just put in the building and all that. And then we can slide around this like maybe canvas across and see what's a good position for it. And then we can find some place for Ria to stand in the middle of the air. And then she's just kind of walking. I was thinking like how it would be kind of cool. I don't know how to explain this, but like if you think of like the part with the building where the guy is standing on, right? This part is like the shoreline, and then everything else that is like empty space around it is like water. It'd be kind of cool, like she's kind of like Jesus, where she kind of just walks on water. It just feels like she's walking on water. And then I was thinking like if she's walking on water, maybe she should take off her shoes. And then I realized that the imagery makes it seem like she just kind of took it, you know, she kind of jumped off, and now she's free. And I don't know how I feel about that. On one hand, I don't really care too much, but on the other hand, you know, all of a sudden, like the comp looks a lot heavier than I meant for it to be. Yeah, I think it's kind of interesting if it's like no shoes, you know, she's like taking off her shoes on purpose so that she can walk on air. Maybe it's like a gimmick. You have to take off her shoes or something. Anyway, so think about that later. I'm trying to get poses right now for just like walking away kind of pose, or like something interesting, maybe like have her dance around. Like Kyotaegu is pretty good at sort of just having girls in the distance kind of doing their own thing. But regardless, I'm gonna get warmed up here. I'm gonna put lines on paper. I feel strangely more lucid today than I have been for like a month or 2 months or 3 months or something. Hopefully it's not like, you know, that moment of lucidity you have before you die, for like super ill patients. But I feel more awake today for some reason, even at work today. Despite waking up after 4 hours of sleep last night, and then having like a really vivid dream for the next 2 hours about my manager drilling me on why I did a thing, and I don't know why I did it. Man, oh my god. Anyways, I might need to stabilize my own music here. Give me a second. I'm listening to something else. Hello, George. But I need it to stabilize into one of my usual sets. If not, it's going to cause issues. Let's just do the main set then. The main active set. If it decays, then it decays. We find something else afterwards. That's fine. Crap. Logically, it would make sense if I do something closer to the pose that I want to, that I may be using before we try it for real. But like, very subtle poses like this are so much harder than dynamic ones because there's no movement here for me to latch onto. Dynamic poses, you make it super dynamic and it looks really good all of a sudden, but now you have nothing. Hello, Igami. Oh my god, this YouTube translation really needs to stop, dude. Can I show you guys what this looks like? This looks so stupid, dude. So, hi Mimi is hi Mimi. That's fine. Makes no difference, but yes, thank you. Heya Mimir becomes Until Mimir. Igumi becomes Bottle. Like, this like Hello Mimi becomes Hey Me. Like, it literally changes the direction. Bruh is bruh. You know, like what's happening with YouTube, dude? How do I turn this off, dude? It's so stupid. You're a Bottle, indeed. Oh, new channel lore. Holy shit. I'm making history right here, bro. Also, I don't drink, where is it? I don't drink supplements, but I do take vitamins for kids daily. The reason why I take the kid one is because I don't want the heavy dosage. It's not like I'm not eating. A lot of the vitamins out there are really, really strong. Like, they're meant for recovering from, like, you know, a specific kind of deficiency. So if you take those daily, it's gonna be kind of insane. Especially stuff like calcium. You might get like stones and stuff like that. So I just do like the kid one, and I do it like once in a while. Rainbow Dash Goon bottle. Holy shit, that is a classic. Do you guys know about like threat simulators? Back in the old days of like 4chan, when like My Little Pony was like a big thing. People would go on the My Little Pony board and talk like stupid shit, and then someone would take that, and then they would use like back then it was still pretty mechanical voiceover. They will play Super Mario music over it, a very specific song from Super Mario over it. And then they'll play all the unhinged comments on loop. And then it just keeps going. I can find you guys the MLP threat simulator. There are like tons and tons and tons of these right then. Holy shit, this guy, oh yeah, he stopped making 6 years ago or something. This is the classic, right? This pose with this, oh, actually no, not that one. This pose without the stop sign. Anyways, this is super not safe for work, so I'm just gonna send this playlist and you guys can check it out in your own free time if you want to. This is old. Oh lord. My god, the stupid tablet is flickering again. Oh my god, disconnected. There you go. Why is it so hard? Okay, I'm gonna reconnect my tablet. Holy shit, okay, everything is breaking. I put my pot on this thing for like 2 seconds and it probably bent the connector again in the wrong direction. Oh my god, show you're that innocent, huh? Why is it so big? Oh, because I'm using my brush size 50, dude. Holy shit. Let's do it. Right, yeah, but I mean, like, I feel like your sort of non-innocentness, not innocentness, is more innocent than the kind of stuff that I might have been more. Oh, this is an important word. Let's just say exposed to. You know, some things of my past, I have to keep it in my past, of course. But it's been interesting. It's been an interesting journey. Is that right? Give me some numbers. Give me some numbers, Show. Give me some 6-digit numbers. Is it 6-digit or is it 8 digits? I forgot. Come on, man. You know, the numbers. Mason, what does the numbers mean? What do the numbers mean? What is red_bean? What does that mean? Is that a thing? Oh my god, my stupid copy and paste doesn't work again. Main target today is for setup. I don't have to get it done completely, but given that it's a photo reference this time, it's a lot more similar to the one piece we did with like the hospital. That looks like a horror movie. We might be able to go more in terms of render. The dream one, I think I'm just gonna leave it as is. I might just post it as this as well. Actually, it feels kind of on point given that like the dreamscape kind of comp is incomplete, you know? You never see your dreams that clearly. Ah, man. Yeah, one day, the sequence will be clear. Yes. Yes, that's what I'm talking about, you know, like that's what I think a Gunner is, like the numbers comes to mind immediately. Because presumably you'll be going back to the same thing over and over. I feel like Gunners will wear that as a badge of honor. You know, it's like a Gunner call in the wild. You see if people react to the numbers that you put up. Main is on passive right now. Thank you. Gunner badge? I don't know what that means actually. Oh man. So much work to do. It might be an early brain. Ah, I see. Yeah, it's possible. Oh, badge of honor. Yeah, like a badge of honor. So you can find, you know, your people in the wild. Alright, the guy in the back looks so weird. This foot, this leg, that's too big. Okay, let's check. Oh, maybe the body's too long. No, wait, the body's too long. Wait, something's just not right. What is that something? Very cool. That is I guess it kind of works, that saying. Mm-hmm. Good thing we're not using this for anything. It doesn't feel much like a warm-up, you know, it feels very stiff. Just even for me, when I'm drawing it, it feels very stiff. I feel like it should be smoother, like this. Not worry too much about anatomy. Get the vibes out. Huh. そういうことか。I'm the bottom feeder of the Gunnar chart. I feel like okay. So okay, I'm auto-correcting the word chart to hierarchy. But then what would the hierarchy represent though? So I guess it would represent the most innocent? I don't think that's the meaning of what like so I wouldn't understand it that way. Because if there is a Gunnar hierarchy, you're already a Gunnar. Is what it is, right? Like yes, you are maybe the most innocent, but like it wouldn't necessarily be classified like that. So first of all, you're already saying that you're a Gunnar versus like a more innocent person, right? Because you're on this chart. That means you're firmly in this category, right? But then in here, if there's a ranking, it depends on what the ranking is. It could be sort of degeneracy, or it could be frequency, it could be other things. Depending on which one this is, I suppose you're at the bottom, as in like you're the least of these ones. So I guess, okay, sure, that makes sense. The most innocent in the Gunnar camp, right? So you're saying that you're on this side already by being on the chart. I'm just trying to work out the setup here. He made the scoring. Oh, we have a scoring now. Oh shit. Dang. Instead of drawing, we have a Gunnar chart. Nice. Leave main is not online. Okay. You adjust accordingly. Not good. Very bad. I feel like the streams are really slow. I've already talked about this before. There hasn't been a very concerted push. Apparently it's pronounced concerto, but concerted push, like concerted effort. Anyways, how was I saying? Right, for anything in particular, right? Because even with the structure that we've come up for creating and crafting ideas, it still requires mental capacity. No, not mental capacity. What's the word? Oh, what's the word in English? Anyways, for lack of a better word, just space for you to find inspirations and then actualize it. So things are still kind of haphazard. And because things are kind of haphazard without a clear sort of reason for doing things, there is no, therefore, energy motivation to make it be rendered better than the previous. So I guess, I mean, we are kind of practicing colors, I suppose. We're going a little bit more sort of hands off with the reference. Kind of, also not really. It definitely feels more than before though. I'm not just strictly copying, I suppose. But on the other hand, I feel like this is really giving the space to try to get a feel for what is considered enjoyable versus what is not. There's some interesting data that's being collected based on that, I think. Because I have past versions of myself in my head, and then I have the current version, and I can see what changed, and I can try to figure out why. And sort of validate and invalidate certain ideas about what progress is supposed to be like. Regardless, though, it is what it is. As long as we're drawing, I suppose, by my own standards. What? Did I? Yeah, nah. Nothing to see here, welcome. Okay, setup please. So we're targeting this setup here. I'm gonna draw everything flat so that it's easier. So horizon's gonna be parallel. We can choose to turn it later, but that'll be later. Because nothing else changes. So I just need a cross, and I'm gonna set up here. I need the 2 vanishing points. They're equidistant from the center point. Okay. I don't know if it's. I wonder how mathematically it will work if you don't do it equidistant. I'm sure it will look like something. Leader of the Gooners, huh? I think many people will start to think that I'm not worthy of being the leader. I'm sure. Alright. I'm gonna use a ruler on my tablet so I know where the hell we need to put the points here equally. So because Horizon, I want to show some sky too. So we're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4 units. 1, 2, 3, 4 units here. Oh shit. There's a lot of space that's not used because it's not centered. Huh? Is that right? I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know how I feel about that. You know, on one hand, that's pretty cool. On the other hand, does that mean that you guys see me as like a hardcore top of the leaderboard gooner in terms of degeneracy frequency and other possible metrics? How do I feel about that? I don't know. I don't know. Let me see. Oh, it's interesting. I only just realized the red lines and the yellow lines don't connect. So that makes sense. That makes sense. They're not meant to be the same point. Because they're not okay, but then these ones will connect. Okay, that makes sense. I'm a closet gooner. Wouldn't that be nice? I think my gooner days are like at least a couple years ago, I'm sure. It'll be nice if you can just sit there and goon all day, right? But then now there's this thing called work. Oh my god. 4 point or 5 point, I actually don't know what to call it. Take me back. Yeah, I don't know what to call this. Me no. The horizontal ones, at least I can cheat. I don't think these are very relevant for us though. Which one is it? This one, right? Oh, we do need the horizon line, right? Maybe it'd be better to space it as far as we can, because I do want it to be more gradual. It doesn't have to be tight. So this point here doesn't mean anything. That's just the center of the entire setup. And then we just want horizon lines from here. Let me check. So do they go parallel? So at this point they have to be parallel, right? Because this is the horizon in the distance. So by the time it gets here, it has to be parallel. But then otherwise it's a very somewhat smooth curve, hopefully. It kind of does this. So this part must be straight. Yellow point is not really converging top, so I think it's 4 point. I see. Sorry, I'm getting lost in the sauce here. It's over here. This is the point, right? I just need straight lines here-ish. Trying to set up some straight lines here. And then they have to connect to this. And at this point is what? It doesn't matter if it's... Yeah, it doesn't have to go in it doesn't have to go in horizontal. So it just has to join. But at what angle should it be joining then? Shouldn't it be joining at a 90 degree? But then it will be 90 degree only for... Huh. Because these ones are not joining 90 degree either. There should be at some point like a logical mathematical point where it should be 90 degree as it curves over, as it curves over to the other side of this, which is behind this. But I think I'm not going to worry too much about that. Yeah, those titles comes with a lot of power and responsibility. And then we need to do the reverse, I think. I need to do the reverse, right? Does it have to be 90 degree though? I mean, it's at the center, right? So if my camera were to zoom in here onto this point, then all the yellow lines should be like exactly vertical, because that's how the thing will work if that was the original setup. So it should be like that. If I were to zoom in here, it would be the same thing, right? Because it becomes a one-point perspective setup with this being the center, right? The yellow being the perspective vanishing point. So logically, it should do that. I don't know how strongly I want to enforce that, because there's a chance that things might not look good if I try to enforce it. I guess we'll find out. This is so much harder to aim, dude. You know? Okay, now I have this massive nonsense here. And then I guess we try to draw in this, but we have to freehand. The buildings are gonna go down that way. So let me double check. Because we see the top of the buildings, they're not on this horizon line. This is the horizon line here. The building would be somewhere like here, I guess. Wait a second. I didn't do the horizontal one. But they converge to the supposed vanishing points here. So like, say for example, like this, perhaps? So let's say that and that. This would be the roof, right? Because it's following this perspective. And then it has to go down this way. Go down this way. That would be that building on top here. Of course, this line here, somewhere here, it would disappear into the clouds, so on and so forth. Poggers. The price we pay for gooning. Where is the... But it would not be a circle. But neither is that. Oh, there's a circle somewhere else. I don't know. I can't imagine this. I don't know what line this should align to. Thereabouts, I suppose. We're just... I mean... I guess for us it doesn't actually matter too much, but... I also might have drawn this a little bit too far... too big. This being at the very tip means I don't see the side of the building yet, but this is at the very tip. Ugh. It will connect to the side, right? So we're targeting this. If I were to draw a square, if this was a square building, where the hell would it go, actually? Say if I do this. Should I bring the ruler over? What, and then it would join that? Oh, but because it's over here, 90 degrees by my own grid. It's so weird. Doesn't feel like it should look like this. Because if I were to show this, it would be, this is the front of the building. It doesn't matter for us too much. I feel like we don't have to let this be this big. If we keep this small here to this scale, then the thing will be minuscule. It'll be not important, and then this guy can just be scaled down accordingly. I just don't know what it's supposed to be. If there's a circle, it would have just been this, but then the grid should follow something. Right, yeah, because the floor in this corridor is tilted up. It's concave this way. Or concave, convex, on something this way. And that's even before we hit the thing, right? That makes sense, because this is the angle here. So if there was a walkway here, I guess, it would have been this way. Right, this would have been the walkway here. But even this one didn't follow it that strictly, right? Because these blue lines converged over here, but the box didn't. So you can only just say that maybe like the vanishing point is further away then. Like the vanishing point that was stated here, that's drawn here, is not actually the real vanishing point. If you look at the boards and stuff, yeah, like this line, this black line here, is nowhere close to joining this. So the real vanishing point is quite a lot further. So really, it's just about using like a smaller part of the canvas so that we don't get too much distortion. So going back to what we were doing, I think it does mean that all I have to do is just... Oh, shit, my tablet died again. We just need to keep the scale small. So if we keep it within some sort of boundaries here, make this a little bit smaller perhaps. How small? How do I scale this thing? Oh my god. This is tough to work with because it's you don't know what comes first. And unlike like usual sort of like perspective setups, everything is so kind of curved that you can't just scale up and down easily, I feel like. I guess that would be the same in a normal 3-point though. You can't just like scale the thing and move it forwards or backwards or something. Alright. Right. I see. If I yes, this building kind of tapers to a point. It tapers to a point, so the... How do I say this? Like, it doesn't have this issue, because if this was like just a square building, it would have the exact same issue that we were talking about before, unless we make the scale really small where the characters are like only this tiny. The scale that we want this to be at, I guess should be somewhere here or something. Alright, because we're targeting this, right? So vertical perspective, we're targeting that. What if she's like walking into the distance like this, right? We have horizon. We have the sunset, sun somewhere here. The canvas would be like pulling this way somehow. I need this guy to be in here, so we're trying to limit this space here. And maybe have other buildings in the distance and all that. I can kind of see the vision. It's not quite what I imagined, but I can kind of see it. And then this building here wouldn't matter too much anymore. Because all I need to do is just join it. It would just be a flat area. It doesn't have to exist. Wait, it doesn't have to exist. Yeah. Or it could just be like a smaller building here or something. Although ideally it should be at the same height, right, as Ria's walking here. She's kind of walking on something. No, well, it doesn't have to be. She could just be... She could have walked all the way up here just in the middle of the air. We're not talking about the physics anyways. She could have just done anything to get to where she is. So compositionally, we just have to worry about what looks better. Even something like this, maybe amongst the apartment blocks where there's stuff. Well, no, let's not do that. I like space. So we're gonna clear the entire sky here. It's gonna be all like 80% sky. Like 5% Ria, and then like 10% building or something. The remaining 5% is hopes and dreams. Let me think. Buildings. I think that will work. That is one idea. Let's make this idea a little bit more concrete, because I do need to fix this building, that's for sure. This has to be set somewhere a little bit further. No, I kind of like how big it was, though. Hello, Debate. I'll be there in a second. I'm gonna figure out this ridiculous setup real quick before I get too distracted. Let me just make it slightly smaller. The automotive, I see it, so I can get to it. Shit. It's too aggressive. Something smaller, and then this building could be even smaller on the side, or depends on how centered we want it to be. One idea would just be that we don't really care where she come from, so this can be any building on any height. So you can make it even smaller by having it be... Oh, it could even be longer, so it represents the curve a little bit better. Oh my god, my screen keeps flashing. It's so hard to work with this sometimes. No one to blame but myself. Maybe we can have one side with some kind of show the perspective a little bit better. More stuff peeking above the clouds or something over here. Maybe even higher than horizon. Do I want anything higher than horizon? What is the implication here? I'm not sure. An area can be here. Well, maybe a little bit bigger. Scaling. Anyways, still very awkward at this point, I feel like. Still very awkward. Let's do the daily real quick. Target. Are these the cheeks you speak of? Let's see. Today's dailies. Alright. Check. 1. Check. Oh, they modded the part where you say... Oh, I see. The bracket cheeks. Okay, that's the one that got modded. I see. Right, cheeks indeed. I know you're supposed to feel cute about all these things, like feel like they're cute, but I am not a big fan, I think. I don't know, I forgot what the original IP looks like, because we were talking about this a little bit before, I do believe. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the original either. I'm not a big fan of the original. Like, I think, like, you know the word grotesque, right? Like, when some things are, like, a little bit too out of proportion, or, like, too emphasized, it feels a little grotesque, even if it's, like, cute like this. Cute, quote-unquote. And we're gonna get cancelled for calling them grotesque. Massive Rex. Yeah, like, Massive Rex is, like, yes, I do agree with that as well, right? Everything needs to be moderated. This just feels like a medical condition to some extent. Like, it's kind of huge. Like, the discoloration doesn't necessarily match it visually, perhaps. And okay, this is not a criticism or anything. Like, this is not necessarily the point of the art, right? Like, they're just trying to be cute, having fun, enjoying what they like to see. I think that is great. I sort of always think back to the time where people were accusing the designer for so like a couple of Arknights artists because they always draw the same face, supposedly. When they overlay all the characters, it has the same proportion and the same face and the same expression. I think that the last one is the most egregious, where it's like the same expression. The proportion that makes sense is your style. It should be consistent. But the face, dude. It's like the same face. Oh. That is true. It is chibi. It does come even more with this territory rather than just anime. Yeah, I suggest dots. You know what are you gonna do about that? What am I looking at? Is that a photo of the screen and I drew over it? Anyways, thank you, Duvet. Tuning to chibis for some reason? Tuning to chibis? Aw. That's interesting. I've never seen that yet, I suppose. I don't see anything that necessarily suggested the... Well, I suppose this would perhaps fit the category. Like, the original game is almost like satire of like not Arknights, but just in gacha games in general or something. Erotic chibi, I see. I mean, I don't, but cool, I guess. Six, 7 chibi animation? Did I miss something here? Dang. I'm not in the chibi space, apparently. Clearly. But yes, thank you, Dave, for bringing this to my attention. Come on. This artist, I suppose, like this side of the stuff. And sparking discussion. In community participation. Come on. It's very subpar. Yeah, what do I want this to be? What if it were more long rather than short? Oh, I see. I'm missing my target because this is. Oh, right. The body follows that same curve perspective. It might look really weird. This is the target. And this is a skill check and a half, dude. Holy shit. What's the story for this one? Sorry, I don't have a story for this one. audio in my stream to belong to someone else. Okay. Thank you, YouTube. I don't know what you guys are listening to, but thank you. Let's go somewhere else before we get kicked off. But yeah, there's no story for this one. Sorry. So the whole thing is because I saw this Reddit video of this guy walking to the edge of this building, which, you know, as I shown before, I liked, right? Like all the urban explorers, this and that. And he climbed, probably without permission, might I add. Probably, I'm not sure. To the top of this building, and then they were looking down, and there's basically like just this really thick, what I'm assuming is cloud cover. It's probably cloud cover. How high is that though? Well, maybe there are places on the earth where the cloud cover is a lot lower, but regardless. And as he pans around, I'm like, yeah, it's pretty cool, you know, like looking at the sun, and like there's just so much space here. I like space, right? Not the kind of outer space. That too. And then there's like a sunset in the distance, and then maybe like a couple of buildings you can just barely make out on the horizon. I was wondering what I can do, and the first thing that came to mind was like Ria standing on the side of the building, like Ichigo in his internal monologue. Just like no real reason, no real rhyme or reason, right? I'll just take this one still frame and I'll just have her on the side, and that would be that, right? That's one way. Another way is to have her walk on the sky, in the air. And I started getting funny ideas with funny perspective setups. And then I found a bunch of guides. And then that's where we are. I basically copied this guide. I just made sure that it's horizontal. Because you can, you know, you can always tilt it if you wanted to. But yeah, so that's kind of where we are. I'm just trying to explore comps. The original one that I was having was more like this, right? Like, so you have the buildings here, and she'll kind of be walking in the air, but she'll be so damn tiny. And it might just be a little bit too much space in this one, right? Because I can make her bigger. I could make her bigger, but I feel like it takes away from it if I make her too big. Okay, maybe it's just because the pose is also kind of ridiculous. Let me just fix that real quick. The legs are way too stiff, that's why it looks weird, but... Which area is this in front then? Yeah, okay, because the perspective needs to follow this, and needs to follow this, and it's like, it needs to follow this. Shit, this BS, this curve BS over here. I don't know where this would be, but... Anyways, I feel like if she's big, right, it kind of takes away from the whole space setup for some reason. I don't know what's a good way to set this up, because like these buildings and their relative sizes sort of like kind of subconsciously sets up something. Makes you feel like things are supposed to be bigger or smaller or something. I'm not sure. The lack of details on these buildings also hurt a lot right now, I feel like. And I don't know what to do with this. I could just have the empty space here. Oh, the rooftop was just another building here. I have even smaller buildings in the distance or something. I don't know. This feels kind of subpar. I think this is way better, right? Whereas almost as though they're walking on a walkway, but there's nothing there, right? It's just empty space. And then we can still have our horizon. You know, you can still have your horizon, and you can still have buildings like dotted across the horizon. There'd be like a sun. There's setting over here. This would be sunset. This would be sunset. Kind of like the stuff that we were trying to set up the other day. I don't know where it is. It's here somewhere, I think. No? ここじゃないの? This one here. Get out. This one here. We could just have this, you know, like the same set of colors over here. Or something even redder and bluer or whatnot, you know, we can do whatever. And then we can still have buildings kind of coming out and beneath them. Like way beneath them. We only see the top of buildings. Could be interesting that way. Even though I still haven't found any storytelling about Fish Island besides conveying madness. I see. I think a fish eye is more of just a way to squeeze more environment onto the same canvas. Because once you like push the two perspectives so close, more things fit, right? Like logically. Since the space is compressed. And it just has that sort of oomph to it, because if it's not something you see without like some kind of distortion on your own, like with your own two eyes, you know, like there is that sort of, wow, that's interesting. Wow, so interesting. It could be kind of cool, yeah, like FTL travel, but I feel like FTL travel is kind of space compression or like space distortion would not necessarily fit something this regular, like as like a very recognizable fish eye effect. There might be compression on one side and sort of like, what was the opposite word of compression? Technically, it's decompression, isn't it? Expansion? Domain expansion? You have domain expansion on one side, domain contraction on one side. Might not be that regular. I think that would actually be required, personally. I feel like it is the irregularity of those things, of the space, that kind of really drives home that sort of more sci-fi kind of vibe, perhaps. Currently, I'm very much leaning into this because it kind of fits our sort of original aesthetic that I've always done with Ria and her wolves. I can show the true scale. Well, it's never gonna be to scale always, but I can show the scale of the wolf over here. There's this. Anatomy, you're gonna need photos for this, but I always knew wolves are huge, but like only until like, I don't know, like actually it's been quite a few years, but only until I saw videos of those people at like conservations and whatnot. They're fucking huge, man. Holy shit. It's kind of eerie though, maybe also for horror stuff. Really? You mean like just in general, like fish islands? I guess it's the stuff that you don't see daily that kind of makes you feel uneasy and uncertain. And then maybe it'll take like more colors and more sort of other sort of elements of the art to really you know, bring the cortisol back down a little bit. 360 shots, I think, you know, I think that fits my personality. At some point we're gonna try and do something more and more and more and more, right? Like I don't know where we're going with my art. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where I'm going. But I feel like that would be a thing for sure. Oh, I just realized I'm not distorting the button. Like this part should be a lot more squished, right? Because it's... Alright. Respect. Symmetry, ruler. Because this is like closer to the thing. How do I do this? Just squish? Because we need the guidelines here. So this is meant to be that. This here is meant to be that vanishing point on the side. So if it joins at her waist level or her like the chest level ribcage, we have that. And then the knee level, we have the height of this smaller pupper over here. Perhaps something like that. And then of course in the distance we have all of our random ass building. I don't know what we do. Let's just do squares again. And of course everything should be controlled by values, so hopefully these are not going to clash too much. Ideally, it would be cool if they're like entirely above the buildings and stuff. So maybe like the rooftops are a lot lower and a lot smaller. But then having sort of more, like being more up close to the building also feels like it's a pretty nice idea. Because you feel like you're more a part of the city. So it really comes down to if I want to show more space or do I want to show more... but I don't really want to render buildings now, do I? You can go more loose with fish. It's not actually as stiff as other linear perspective. You can both build and not needing to be too accurate. Right. I guess there is the benefit of just not being seen daily, right? You don't necessarily know the rules that well. But even if it's linear perspective, right? Like the object itself could just be tilted or something. I don't know. So I guess that means that actually human senses are maybe pretty sharp if they wanted to. Anyways. I don't want to go too strong because it also kind of becomes like the point of the picture, right? Once you have too much fisheye. We want enough to make it seem like it's kind of cool. But not too much so that it takes away from the quote-unquote relaxingness of this, you know, as relaxing as it can be walking in the middle of the air, miles up in the sky. Right, so we can potentially just, like, you know, fill the entire space out with buildings like this. That's why I kind of split it into a different file here. Sorry, a different layer here, because we can have so many buildings in here. One thing I am sure though is that we're not gonna have any buildings going across, like above the horizon. I'm not gonna make her like walk through the city like this. I don't think. It is a mood though. This is a mood too, actually. And one might argue that this is actually better at showing the horizon. Sorry, the fisheye. Is it too much though? Is the problem. Going back to what I was talking about. Being too much fisheye here. Potentially. Oh man, but having to render all these things would really suck. Holy shit. Oh man. Actually, how would you do the stuff above the... It would mean that it's... Wait, what? No, it means that it's just doing this then, right? Right. In a curve, at least... One other thing. Okay, I do agree. I feel like that should be... I feel like that should be true. Being able to spot like mistakes and stuff that you experience daily, that makes a lot more sense, you know? That it is true. Source, I am human. Source, we are human. God damn it. So it would be... Right, because it's below horizon. Ah, it's below horizon. Man. That's tricky. That is true, it is below horizon. I'm trying to set out like a triangular top. I don't know how to plot it. What the hell is this thing? Oh, it's from the layer below. So I need to know the center point, which should be here somewhere. Like a triangular top might look something like this, I suppose. And then like the needles. You can kind of feel it. The perspective in here. I feel like it's way too cluttered. I'm gonna carry this idea a little bit further before I truly stop it. And I go back to the other one, where it's more empty. I wonder if you have like a perspective ruler that allows this, actually. Ruler frame, perspective ruler. Yeah, fisheye. What does this do, actually? Oh! Okay, I mean, if we learn how to use this, it would make things a lot easier. Okay. I see. So this is ideally the horizon, I imagine, then. This is one point. Okay, this is the other point. This is the other point. Wait, no, that's not true. There's one point here. And there's one point here. And then there's the third point here. What about the circle? What does the circle represent? Because we're not matching curvature right now. So I need to... push it down. Right. So let's say it's like here, this is over here. Oh wait, no, hang on. Wait, no, what? Are they supposed to be here or no? What if this is on the thing, right? Yeah. So we do have a set that's on the thing. I don't know why it's not being able to... Oh, because it's too high, right? Okay, so this fits. That makes sense. And then this guy's over here. Then this guy. Why is it both moving the line? Oh my god. What I want? Oh, that's the other position. So this is over here. I mean, to be fair, like what I've drawn isn't necessarily accurate, so I feel like we should just follow this, right? That's what it should be like. Why did my music just stop? Got paused by YouTube. Alright, let's see if this is better. Oh, my screen's black. Is it locking? Oh no, it's not even locking, dude. Holy shit. It feels a lot more distorted than I would like it to be. Wait. How does this work? Okay, oh, you have to draw within the circle, otherwise it doesn't lock at all. Wait, but this is correct though. It should join to this. I guess mine too lenient. I mean, because the other point is where exactly? Wasn't aggressive enough? Okay. Oh, and this should have curved the other way, right? Okay, that makes sense. Okay. I suppose this is fisheye. Are there no more parameters that we get to control? I feel like maybe that because this vanishing point here that's in the bottom here has a corresponding one on top, right? Somewhere. Is the distance between this and that always fixed? So like basically this curvature is always like this? Or is it possible so that it's closer and you get even more distortion? So maybe like fisheye has a very specific set of distortions that you follow. Are they all equidistant or some kind of distance? But we get to shift them around too. What if I... what? If I shifted this... But that would have only changed that, right? It wouldn't change this guy. If I had pushed it all the way here, then the other point would appear. So it's within the circle. Okay, hang on. So this is like one ruler, perhaps? Let me try something else. What if I move this to the... hello? I move this to the top. And then I move this here. And I made the circle... Oh yeah, it doesn't work. It's always maintaining a circle. Because I was wondering what happens if I moved it... Oh shit. Try to fit it here and then move these points here, but I guess they would turn together. Either it's one side or no side. Anyways, I don't understand this enough. What the circle represents, I think, is the bigger one. I don't really know what that represents. This is, I think, proving like exactly what you're saying, the virus, right? Because like if you cannot intuitively sort of think about it, like what the grid is doing, then I guess there is no like not enough understanding to really be spotting mistakes. Like I don't think like right now, like the one that I kind of have set up with like the characters walking, it feels right, but I don't know if it is actually right. Like them walking on this direction here and then having this other direction here. Because according to this, we didn't distort enough for them, like for the bodies, right? That seems to be what this is suggesting. That the character isn't bent enough, you know? Because if we truly bend it according to the line, I guess we're not at this side. We're kind of in the center. If you don't know if something is wrong or if it's right, then what is it? I don't know. Limbo? It's called a pain in the ass. That's what it is. From a STEM student's point of view, I guess I'm not a student, but it will definitely just be a pain in the ass. That's pretty much it. We don't know if it's wrong or right. Oh, man. I do want to carry on with this comp though. I want them to be in this specific setup. Maybe they can be closer so it can be less distortion on the butt. But I think this is fine. And then I just need to figure out what to do with the background. And if I want to use this grid or not. Because this is not... This feels really strong. Okay, hang on. What if I make the circle just bigger? Let me delete this. Oop. If the circle were to be bigger, then the distortion word should be less. Logically. Well, it depends on where this dot is, actually. I guess should be... Wait, then well, doesn't that mean that if I just keep it this, I just need to move this away, right? This is where it's 90 degrees. Yeah, I don't know what it means when I move this dot. Like, I don't know what this means. What does this mean when I move this? Now I'm all confused. Now I feel like I have to go back to linear just to figure out what moving the dots mean. It almost feels wrong to be moving one dot just randomly. You know what I mean? Like if this were linear, right? If this was like a linear perspective with like horizon, and then you do this and all that, you don't just randomly move this like one dot in, because that distorts the perspective intensely, right? If this were to be here instead. Because now you're here? But you could just define whatever you want it to be though. But what am I talking about? Oh, so rather than moving this in, it's more of like zooming out or zooming in. Because if you zoom out enough for the previous setup, then essentially the points get closer. Right? Because rather than having a canvas like that's here, you have a canvas that's this big, and therefore now the points are closer all of a sudden, quote unquote. So it's like a zoom out process, depending on how you shift it. Anyways, my god, my head hurts. Oh, this is just symmetry ruler. Oh my god, good old symmetry ruler. At least I know how you work. What the hell is this? Oh, did I do that on a different layer? Okay. Oh, I'm so creative with my buildings, dude. Oh shit. Unbelievable. Where am I joining? Oh, okay. It'll probably take me a while to figure out what the scale of the building and how crowded it is. This is still pretty crowded. The original's idea is so empty and so much nothingness. And in some angles it's so scary too. Actually, it's kind of interesting, right? You can see the shadow of the building in the clouds. It's just so much darker here. There's ambient occluding on the clouds. Yeah, like vanishing point is usually outside of the canvas. Like not all of them are on the canvas, right? There'll be 3 pairs of them, and at most you have like 3 of them on the canvas. And even that would be very distorted already. But then fisheye sometimes have like 4 points on the canvas, maybe? There'll be 1 pair that's entirely fully visible sometimes. Oh, that's what I've chosen to represent. Oh, that's what it means, right? Like to have the dots on the circle. Because the circle is kind of like the inner canvas. So if you have the 2 points on the side, then that's what you're saying is like both points are kind of active on this canvas. Whereas for these guys, you can have them on the canvas as well, but you wouldn't have the corresponding one, which is behind this essentially. Well, you could just shift it up, and now there's like 6 points on it. Oh, okay, I see. What does it mean then? So if you're pushing the... Oh man, if you're pushing the dots... So you're squishing, you're doing domain contraction, you're just compressing the space if you're putting the vanishing points together. You're basically saying that the space between these 2 points are now represented by a smaller space on the canvas. And then if you push it to the very extremes of the circle, you're expanding it as much as possible. Oh, sorry, no, you're contracting it in a different direction, but you're expanding the space between this and yet another. Okay, I see. Do I see? Anyways. Oh man, art has never been so like sort of directly confusing. Like sometimes anatomy is... yeah, maybe it's about the same. Let's just because they both have a correct answer and you don't really know what it is. And you're not sure... I guess, okay, I guess in this case it's harder to work out what it's supposed to be. At least we stole the show. Right. I wonder if it's possible to represent everything that we have on this canvas. Say, for example... Sorry. There's a bunch of notes here, right, that people have made. Some, presumably the same artist has made on curved perspective. And is this ruler flexible enough to represent all of them without running into issues? Right, so for example, I see the blue lines. I see the blue lines are kind of not quite centered on the thing. Like, does it mean I put this here? It does mean I have one point here. So let's put all the points in a specific spot first. Let's say this and this and this. You get the guidelines to kind of... Oh. Did they shift each other's position? This guy is separate. Oh. Maybe this should be the... Am I using the wrong points the whole time? Wrong set of points, maybe? So this is the vertical one. Here. Right? Clearly do not match right now. Clearly circle should be smaller. So I make the circle smaller. Oh, it's kind of on the same line now. Does it mean I need to make it bigger now? What am I missing here? It's not on the pink line. Okay, and this is like here. It still doesn't really fit. What the hell is this? Oh, that's the center. Okay, what's the point of the center? What is the point of the center? It doesn't do anything. What? Where'd it go? Bro. What is the point of this thing? It's just as close as we can get it. Like this doesn't fit, right? That's what I meant. Like that's the corresponding pair point. That's the corresponding point for this pair. And you cannot control where that point is. All I can do is spawn it if I bring it to the edge, and then the other side will come out. But in this state here, there's no way to control where the other thing is. And I don't know if you're supposed to be able to. Because if we were to trust our eyes and say that this art looks fine, and that's what the perspective is, then it would mean that this ruler inherently is limited to just a specific type of distortion, which I'm presuming is the fisheye lens effect. But then again, so is the drawing. So where is this gap of like between what we're seeing and what we can do, you know? Right, because this is here. I don't know where the corresponding point is. Let's see. There's like the apex of the curve is here, right? The corresponding point is like somewhere maybe here. It's not relative to anything in particular. It doesn't seem to be relative to this, or it's not like half and half, because the apex of the curve is here. It's not relative to this thing. This is like apparently just a tool for moving this. I can move this bigger and smaller, but the relative proportion is maintained. So the point that is on the outside that's the corresponding position is moving in tandem, proportionally. Yeah, my issue with drawing manually, I don't have an issue with drawing manually directly. It's just that I don't know if I'm doing it right, because I don't know what the rules are. And having a ruler that's programmed in inherently means that you cannot go wrong if you use the ruler. But it would just seem like the ruler itself is rather restrictive, right? That's the biggest problem here. That the ruler doesn't allow me to do everything I want, but otherwise knowing that it's correct technically gives me the peace of mind. In our case, I don't think it matters too much. It's just if it looks fine, it looks fine, I think. So it looks like the ruler itself is rather limited to something. Some of these I'm sure can be represented, like the one that we were doing, that we were referencing. Oh man, dude. What is the difference? I think the ruler is trying to maintain a very balanced set of distortion. Because if you get to control the corresponding pair point, then essentially you're able to sort of distort it in a way that isn't realistic, perhaps. Because we can distort the space between this point, say, for example, and this vertical point. Right? We can compress this space, basically the corridor here, as much as we want. I can move this all the way over, and then all of a sudden the corridor, I guess we have to we have to shift her, I guess, but all the tiles, they will be compressed. But as we compress this, I guess we must also naturally maybe expand on the other side, possibly. That's why they don't give you the control, so that it makes it physically viable. So is fisheye lens just a vibe then? It's just draw with vibes. Looks good, feels good, fine. No problem. Doesn't matter if it's physically possible or not to take the shot. It feels like it should be possible too. Anyways, this sucks. Maybe I can revisit the Colossal course I got for Modare, because he did do a more in-depth dive into 4-point and 5-point perspectives. And maybe in the explanation we can understand a little bit more based on our new experience today, as well as this ruler that is available to us. And after trying it out and seeing its sort of limitations a little bit more. Alright, I'm gonna do one more here. This one is taller, but then it kind of sort of, I guess, invades on this space that we want to maintain and keep clean. And then the other one is the same thing, but without sort of invading the airspace, if you will. And then one more I want to have just basically a lot more empty space, I think. That's what I would like to have. So do this. Alright, there's another building. Oh, it'd be kind of cool if there's more space on the canvas on this side, and then like there's like a... That's a what? I thought, I'm trying to figure out if there's a way to make it seem like they're walking just off the edge of a building, right? Like Like if this is like the parapet of like one of the buildings or something, and then like there's like walls. Sorry, not walls. This is over here. So is this technically underneath us? We should be able to see some, right? That. No, because this is the joint. It's getting stuck. I'm not sure which ruler it's sticking to because I think at this point it's pretty similar. Alright, it's like a walkway or something. I don't know. Not a walkway, but just... And then if you have like security guards or something, you know, like over here, like chasing after there and something. Could add to the story, perhaps. Maybe, maybe not. I mean, adds to the story, but I don't know if I want it. So there's this, and then there's like the same thing, pretty much density, but then we're just above everything. Possibly need to lower this building here. So it's a little bit too high up, I think. Given the distance and everything, we should lower it a little bit more. We're gonna need a lot more buildings all over here, basically. As we go further out, it's gonna get so much smaller. Too lazy to render, I'm just gonna do this. Dang, if we were to render this, we should really just do 3D. Holy shit, this is gonna be insane. But there's this. And then that's the one that I would like to do, which is just a lot emptier. And with the fog, right? So like the building that we saw in the video, maybe it's only this big. Am I connected? Sorry, I'm not even using the same... Oh, no, no, hang on. I changed the point position. Right, yeah. Okay. Right, whatever the hell random these sticks are. And then maybe you'll find like a couple more like designs. The tricky part would be to draw enough detail on these buildings, or rather have the details be small enough and scaled correctly to really give the sense of scale of these buildings. And then the fact that we're above it would really push us into the clouds. And so all of these would be grayed out and all that. Colors wise, it will be the brightest here. What does the horizon look like? Okay, clouds, orange glow. So blue sky, potentially blue sky. Compositionally, maybe her face should be above the horizon. Maybe everybody gets elevated up a little bit. You have to be higher here. No, wait, no. I don't want her to be above horizon. Actually, I kind of want her to be below. So the sky is entirely clear. Oh, okay. We can do that. Right, just have to lower this a little bit. Actually, I don't know what this proportion is either. That's aspect ratio. I would like to make some that's cool for like white screens and stuff like that, even though I don't have one. But the long format is nice. If nothing sticks above, Clear skies, we are free to do whatever gradient that we want to do. Sky can be on fire for all I care. This perspective might be a little bit too gentle. Oh my god, my screen stopped flashing. Order of operations. I think perspective, not perspective, proportion comes first. 21 by, I said 21 by 9 is what? Divided by 3, 7 by 3. Oh, it's actually pretty close. Oh shit, it's really close. Oh wait, I need the ruler. If I mesh this up, it's exactly right. This is the exact size that we want. We can just render it slightly bigger than this, and then we can have more space that way. This one I want to lower a little bit. Actually, let's bring in my grid. Take a quick look at what the grid does for us, if anything at all. Alright, it's because I wasn't centered before. That's acceptable. So it's fine. Where's my dudes? So I think these two should be center for sure. Then the runner here can be secondary. To fix out the perspective, oh my god. She can be looking forwards or not. That's also fine. She can be walking, she can be chasing. I don't think she will care too much. Will she care too much? Say we keep this for now. Yeah, I have to redraw all the dudes because of the change in perspective. Yeah, and then this is our framing, this is our rough. This was sequenced the same. Yeah, we don't get to do this. There's nothing to bloom this against. It'll just be the clouds. I can make it really fiery red, or you can make it... No, but at this height, I don't think we... Can we get that? The atmosphere might be thin enough that it doesn't work. I guess it doesn't matter too much. Horizon getting pushed. Okay, I think we sequence this again. This was too strong, I think, but I think this was too weak. Maybe somewhere in between. Oops. I don't want too many buildings. Maybe we should make it slightly bigger. The smaller it is, the higher up we are, right? By having one that's maybe this big over here. Yeah, it brings us a lot closer all of a sudden. Right, okay, never mind then. Why is it not as curvy as Right, because it's fixed, right? That's the problem that we were talking about with the ruler. Because I cannot control the other side of it. Oh, maybe it's not the right way to do it. Let's see. This is getting really hard to read. I want the bottom of the building to be clear, right? Because that's the whole point. To see that it's disappearing into the clouds. Right, but this... Oh, I see. Okay, let me think. If you want to set a floor level, usually in linear, you would just draw the lines out. Right. So all I'm saying is, I guess I have to draw the lines out this way. This is the floor. So if I take this and I bring it over, and then we can have a different building. Right, okay. I can kind of get a better feel for how to do this. The next problem would be, where should the buildings be? As much as we can control it with values, they are gonna contrast. Oh, what would be nice, right? We wanted this... We want to get space. Things up close should be big, and then we should just have very sparse stuff. Yeah, this is too hard to work with just as is. I think it'd be easier if I just simplified it and use a block, a square like this, just to stand in. Right, if we have buildings here or there, okay. Perhaps it'll be even easier if we have some values here. It's gonna lag, of course. No, oops. Nope, no aspect ratio. No ruler. Oh. Into lock. I guess I need to take this back down to black. Oh, it's pretty consistent. Interesting. Oh man, it's so big. Yeah, it's way too laggy. I need to make it smaller. Oh my god. Stop. Alright, I didn't change the brush size. Wait, no, where's the center? I'm not really seeing it at all. Holy shit, I don't see it. I think this might be one that really needs color. Ah yes, Igami. I just saw your message. Holy shit, 18 minutes ago. 10 minutes ago. Have a good night, Igami. You're not gonna hear this, but thank you for coming. And so curving it up. I do think curving it up is nice. But then once the clouds come into play, now the clouds have to curve too. I guess. Whatever forms that the clouds take. Something doesn't feel right. It feels like the original vision with the sketch feels so clean though. It feels so clean. Vibes wise, it's literally just like a couple of characters in the middle of nothing. It should be clean, but this doesn't feel very clean. I think it's because of my cloud brush. But values wise, there's also nothing to set up because it's so homogeneous. Other than the colors themselves. And my tablet is continuously DDoSing me still. Should the values be? I guess we need to follow that. That makes sense. I'm not using the same set of cards, it's gonna cause issues. Alright, let's make this even easier for ourselves. Kinda close enough. Oh no, show. I think if we can even get an idea clear enough in my head, that would be a win. This is not looking very likely. There's a lot of challenges still. Primarily, this rendering is going to be kind of a pain because it's all clouds. Originally, looking at it, I thought it was just going to be a big giant set of airbrush, which I can still see it. I mean, at least closer to us, it's just gonna... Oh, whoops. Goodbye. Uh, this part should be fine, right? It's definitely quite challenging. Setting it up as well as rendering this. It's a lot more than I thought. Because having that curved perspective kind of changes things quite a bit. Yeah, I thought this would be a lot easier than this. Never ceases to surprise me how difficult things are to make work. How much effort art requires. Always takes more than I think. Oh shit. It doesn't look right somehow. Like the curvature of the clouds, I think is not right. The position of the points would be somewhere here, right? So at some point it needs to transit over into this kind of a brushstroke rather than... It should be transiting into this at some point. Oh man, so weird. It's like a giant weird ass omelet or something. So ugly. This sucks. Oh, what the fuck are you drawing? Oh my god, it sucks. Fuck, I hate art, dude. Art sucks. Never goes the way you want it. Like, why would it? Oh my god. Such a insanely surprise. Like, it's so surprising. Like, the skill check is just... Oh my god. Boo. This might be a running before you can walk kind of moment. Right? Because it's not like we're good at painting clouds either. Either way though, this kind of sucks in terms of colors as well. All right, it needs revision. And I need to think about this. I don't know what to do with the colors. I don't know what to do with the rendering. The fact that the clouds themselves have form, that might be irregular, right? It doesn't necessarily follow these lines, these curved perspective lines, but they still have to follow it. Like, so you have to draw the clouds convincing enough that it needs to look random enough and cloud enough, right? But still show that perspective somehow. And I don't know what that would look like in my head. It's just completely blank. Colors wise, it's not great. Partly because of my execution, partly because of the values themselves. I feel like are a little bit lacking, perhaps. Because like, what would the character be like, right? Like they're gonna be here. I guess you'll be drawing the part of them that's catching light and stuff, and all that. I don't know. But I do like the idea. Let's just ignore the color for a bit. Just pretend that we didn't just spend like half an hour on that or something. I like the comp. Uh, okay, let me take a step back. So many routes here, right? We can continue to figure out what to do with this, right? At least we have a comp. We have the idea that most of the perspectives are sorted out. I need to figure out where to put the buildings, but they can also go in anytime, right? It's not like they have to go in now. They're supporting elements, or so secondary, tertiary elements, not very critical. Uh, we know what the challenges are, right? The perspective challenge we can kind of ignore. We figured that out. That it's probably not necessarily that important in this. We get some of it right, we're fine. Horizon itself is enough to suggest the curved fisheye vibe. That's number one. Another challenge would be the colors and the rendering of the clouds, which we will just have to find reference, as we are entirely dependent on reference because we don't have the experience nor the understanding to back it up. So success on this hinges heavily upon that. That's option one, right? So we continue this. Option two, we explore different other comps with the same perspective setup, with the same idea. We can have a horizontal frame like this. We can go back to the vertical frame that we had before for the other idea. I don't know where it went. This one, this other one. But again, same issue, right? It's the same issue with the lighting and the same issue with the colors and all that. It's just that maybe if a different comp, other things might be easier to set up. But I guess the other things we've really chosen to ignore because the other thing is just perspective and the buildings. Neither of which are really that strict. The character herself will be fine either way. I'm sure I can make it work some way. At least we have I think confidence in that. So that's not a problem. Um, so that's two options. The third option would be to continue with the do what I originally thought about, which is have her sort of stand at an angle and just kind of have this set up and make people think and pay attention to, hey, what the hell is happening on this canvas? Why is she standing like that? What is happening? Right? We have no explanations for it. That's fine. But the benefit of this is that the only thing there is an unknown is the character herself. That's it, right? It would take the exact value, exact comp, exact setup. Everything else would be taken directly. She would just stand on the side of the building. That would be the good part about this. It's just a coloring rendering practice, essentially. Uh, the fourth option would be to just ignore everything here and just go find something else, right? Either we can ideate through our sort of design a story nonsense, or we can just find another piece that can inspire me the same way this piece did, and hopefully not be as difficult as this one was. Right? We can even just take this in isolation. I really like this. It has the colors. It has the building, like this specific type of industrial kind of vibes with the cranes and all that. Very nice. And also like the fact that there's this very heavy bloom over here, right, where the sun is just turning this area red because of the interaction on the pixels on the camera. The difficulty with this, however, is where does the character go in? Because all we can add, because by nature, right, this scene here is very far in the distance. This is the background essentially. There is no foreground, there is no middle ground. The character needs to exist somewhere in this space, and it's kind of hard because I only ever came out with two ideas. Number one, close up on the face with this being the background, right? We kind of did that before, like maybe 150 streams ago or something. That's option one. Option two, have her be like jumping in midair and have this be a shot that's captured where it's still like a very far perspective, I suppose. You know, like one of those shots where people are jumping between buildings, right? And then there's this alleyway in between where she's like completely in empty space, but this is in the background. We wouldn't have the two buildings though in that case because we want to show the scene itself, but that's one way. I don't know what else we can do here. Ideation with higher information, yes. Ideation, in fact, ideation I think is just in general pretty difficult for me. Because ideation in terms of just like coming out of random ideas, maybe you can think logically and try to set things up. Like if you take the perspective of the scene or whatever that you have, and then you find other pictures with similar perspectives, but maybe with different environment elements, it might sort of make your creative juice flow a little bit more, right? You might take a pose over, you might take a building over, but then once you have something else on the canvas, all of a sudden things make like look a little bit more interesting. And you might have some other ideas and some story that plays out. But amongst all of these methods, I think the bigger problem is there is no emotional investment. There is no reason to devote resources into fleshing it out. That still remains the biggest problem. Even for the 2 and 3 ideas and 4 ideas that we had so far for today's stuff, right? That is still a big problem. Regardless, sorry, the music ended. I don't know how long ago it ended, but regardless, I think what do I think? Sorry, I'm not thinking is what's happening, but maybe it's time to sort of revisit my stupid key vault for a little bit. I haven't written anything. We've kind of been putting this off for a really long time. Because I'm kind of trying to work on a set of design sheets for Ria, but for a different specific purpose. But even for that, the progress has been really slow. Right, let me turn this on. Right? npm run evolve. What's the thing? Def system go. Keyboard is not in here. It's kind of annoying. Material 2 activations. So primarily everything is mostly based off of music. Like all of these are music. Alan Walker, Picasonic, which you guys were just listening to. Green Dijon, Madoka, ambient music stuff. This is the other ideation. This is not really related to anything. This is the only one that we actuated and did something on, which we cannot see because I didn't have the other website turned on. But there are also a few more that popped up here and there. I kind of also forgot about them. Like if I don't write it down immediately, they kind of get lost immediately. But because I didn't write anything here. Right, so urban exploration is the lowest hanging fruit, I would say, amongst everything here. Because everything else like outer space and all these things, these require more thought into what represents what, right? What exactly is like different textures representing the roughness of the rendering, lines versus no lines. All those things require thought. The music ones require me to be in the correct state of mind to really reignite that sort of inspiration and then dig into it. these two here, where we do like main Ria's memories and Urban Exploration, these two are basically the same thing, where she's just kind of in physical world, and we just draw whatever, right? She can be in different pieces of clothing, she can be doing parkour and all that, doesn't really matter. The stories that they will present will also not be very high stakes, right? It doesn't necessarily have to tie into anything, at least for this one. This will have to tie in with actual memories, so this one is a lot harder, even though it's still easier relative to the other stuff. So this is the easiest because the stories doesn't have to make any sense. All you have to do is put her in urban exploration scenarios, which allows us to really sort of do a lot of practice with rendering with materials and stuff. And as long as we just use photos, the compositional requirements are not as high. Right, like just this, right? Even just this. Actually, this would be really... Actually, this is really nice. Like, the composition, the values, the textures and stuff. Like, do you think the textures are manageable this time? Right, a lot of it is just flat concrete surfaces. And it also got that sort of faded, like where the blacks are not really that dark, right? It's very much limited. You can just have her walk down, stand here, even do nothing. And it's just an excuse to practice. Zero composition. Well, we should probably take some, like, you know, do some compositing. Oh my god, dude. We should do some composing. But otherwise, there's like zero. Well, relatively speaking, a much lower barrier to entry here. This should be how it is until I can get full attention back on the streams again. But like this is a really nice comp though. I really like this one. I mean, at least we have an idea. If it's not flash out the bow, so be it. I mean, skill is always gonna be an issue. We can always just let it sit for a bit and then eventually we might find something that would be the same or similar, and then we can figure out where to go from there. I'm trying to see if there's a Pinterest over here somewhere, and then we can continue to explore this specific idea. But it looks like we don't have it, maybe? No, not very. I'm sure someone uploaded it to Pinterest. I'm so sure that someone uploaded it to Pinterest. Or we can just do something like this and study. Wait, I know this artist, don't I? This feels very similar. Very, very familiar. This is AI, but ideas. I wonder. It's just a lot of noise here, but there is still enough sort of like perspective setup that you can kind of read it, which is interesting. It's just like it's so hard to be original now, like because there's so many people doing art. Like the low barrier to entry means that anyone can do anything. Like, yeah, this is it. Like, this is what I was talking about. Urban exploration, this is it, right? All you do is just put character in scene. The scene was possibly just a photo. Excuse to practice. Doesn't have to render that tight. As long as the colors and everything shows everything. We're good. Thank God. Hey. This kind of happens. Well, I mean like this lull period, between like during this in the whole grand scheme of like the stream, right? Like the past 20-30 streams maybe have been a little bit more hands off and a little bit more less directed. I think it's natural. Although in this case here, there was a specific reason. But even if I were to spend all my attention on stream, I think at some point there will be these lull periods where, well, although it feels like I've always been in this sort of burned out lull period kind of vibe. So, regardless though, I feel like as long as we keep drawing and doing stuff that's challenging, like today we didn't really do much. But at least we tried some ideas and got a feel for some things that don't work. This is one of those days where things just fail. And I guess that's fine. Hopefully the experience will come back. Yeah, do I know? I'm not so sure myself. Talking more... Primarily, the reason why I talk is because I can't think straight if I don't otherwise. Like, I won't be able to sort of form my thoughts clear enough to work out the logic in my head. So talking it out forces me to be clear about what I'm saying. Because I'm trying to... When I talk, right? When I speak, I try to imagine like you guys as a third party. As a party that I'm talking to. You guys won't know some things that just happens in my head. But... So it forces me to enunciate and say things out. And as a result, it forces some other... sort of connections to be made, I think. 2 hours of straight silent, right? Those are just periods where I know what I'm doing. So I suppose, you know, in a way for you guys, more content to listen to, if for people who want to listen to. I still recognize this, by the way, that every time I open my mouth, like viewer count drops by like 20-30%. Recently it's been slightly better just because like you guys are mostly here to communicate, and then otherwise you guys would have left regardless. But like if in the past, like, you know, with new viewers, I think a lot of people are just sort of drawn in by that sort of more ASMR kind of vibe with the music and the just like silent drawing. And then the moment I open my mouth, it's like, oh, I know what this is. If they're saying this is Toronto, then I know what this is. Shit, where is it? Is it like... It's near Spadina or something. There was a station where the trains kind of curve and do a U-turn, I think. Anyways, yeah. Honestly, urban exploration and this, between the two of them, this is more important. This is more on point. This is easier to have a value to doing it. And make it easier for me to try to push through the thing. But it would mean that I have to be more, I have to reveal more personal information. So I have to think about this a bit more, but otherwise this is the correct setup, I think. I also am getting the feeling that I should go and review a lot of the nonsense that I've been saying, especially with regards to what I want to do. Because I keep feeling like I say I want to do something, and then at most I will do it for like a week or two. Then I'm just gonna jump off because I feel like I am not doing enough things or this or that or something. Oh yeah, that is possibly true. That is possibly true. Oh wait, now I have my guy out. I should maybe switch to my own guy, and then you will see like the like half the subscribers leave or something. What of the kind here is it? So blind and so cynical. Yeah, in my mind, I'm marking this period of streams as a hands-off passive sequence, even more passive than usual, where I'm just gonna do as much drawing and doing things as possible. It's not gonna be very structured, it's not gonna be very targeted, or we're not gonna try and work on any specific areas. It will just be get whatever experience you can, failures or successes, and then when I have the capacity to come back and be more hands-on again, those experiences will just naturally pop out over time as we try things again in a more structured way. Maybe I should come up with yet another roadmap this time. Right, that is true, Show. I guess people might... Maybe there are people who hasn't even, joined any stream and just left it connected, perhaps. And then, and then one day they go through the subscriptions list, and then they see this profile. It's like, oh, I have like 100% anime girls, but why is there one anime dude? Get out of here, and then unsubscribe. How Lo-Fi Luna-NM. My drawing tablet is a Cintiq 13 HD. It is a very old one. It is over 10 years old now. It still kind of works for the most part. Yeah. That's a hard copy study, so that is true. That is true. Man, art sucks, dude. Holy shit. Like, when am I gonna get good enough where like we don't run into new problems every day, where you can just be as comfortable as you're just speaking, like every day. It's like every day we're coming into like new grammatical problems and we're trying to solve grammar issues and we're not able to express ourselves. It's like saying half the sentence and being like, ah, shit, I don't know how to say the second half in a way that makes sense to people. Right, sure. It's just more of a hypothetical. It's not like I believe that is the case. It's just an exploration. Possibly. Maybe, maybe not. Is this like China again? Like that one place with this very vertical. Like even this is pretty cool, right? Just have Ria kind of like dropping down. Like, I mean, I don't know why she's dropping down. She's definitely not gonna die or anything. But if she's just kind of dropping here, that'd be kind of cool. The rendering will kill me though. The rendering will absolutely drive me insane. But we'll be forced to make concessions, and we'll also be forced to try to figure out patterns and ways to make things draw faster. That will be a huge learning experience, and then we won't be doing... sorry, what was I gonna say? Anyways, oh wow, look at that. I like a lot of these shots, but like, you can't really put a person in here. What do you do? Put a walkway here, I guess, and then just have them look over. I love vertical stuff like this. But it's such a liability though. One thing collapses and everything just goes down. Native first year you learn everything at 99%, then they show... Oh, is that right? It kind of makes sense. I mean, thinking about art from like an art perspective is pretty similar. You have to be a master of everything so that you don't run into problems every time, right? Because you don't really know what kind of stuff you might be drawing or not. Also for Lo-Fi Luna, it is a preference thing. A lot of professionals, at least in the past that I've heard of, is that they do use stuff like Intuos, where it's not a screen tablet. It really is just about getting used to the system that you have. Granted, it will be a lot harder, I guess. Well, not necessarily that much harder, but it will be harder to get used to something where you're not looking at what you're drawing. It would be. But the pros of that is that you might be drawing it in a more natural way because you're drawing flat on the table. Maybe it's unnatural to some people, maybe it's natural to some other people. So depends, man. Maybe give it a couple months of using it. It is not cheap, right? Like both your Intuos, I imagine, and also whatever tablet that you will have to buy to replace it. Excuse me. Right, exactly, sure. I have heard that as well, that people don't necessarily like drawing at an angle because like the screen tablet, because you have to look at it, it cannot be flat. So you have to draw an angle. If you have to draw an angle, your drawing position is naturally not the same as just writing, I suppose. That you've been getting used to throughout your entire life. I'm not necessarily saying that having it flat on the table is more natural. I don't necessarily think that is the case, but I do think what I think is the case is that throughout your life in educational systems, most of the time the tables are flat. So you're probably more used to doing that rather than having propped up. So it might feel more natural to have it be flat. But I digress. It's going to still be choppy and awkward at 90% fluidity. The other 10% is very important. Let's see. Oh man. I don't really feel discouraged to the point where like I don't want to work on it anymore, right? Because to me that is not an option. There's never an option to stop. But I do get really tired. I do get really tired and I hear the voice in my head being like, yeah, I just kind of, can we just stop, you know? Can we not just not do anything? Can we just not do nothing? Like, what am I saying there? I'm getting so tired, I'm not even being coherent anymore. Can we just do nothing? Can we just stop doing this thing? Right, but with language as an analogy, like just like right now, right, I made a bunch of mistake in the way that I'm saying, in what I'm saying. I realized that you have to correct yourself on the spot, because when I was learning Japanese, if you come across words that you don't know, or if you come across expressions, times where you cannot express yourself accurately, or you make a mistake, you have to stop and correct yourself, because if you don't, that mistake gets reinforced in your head as the way to do it. It might not, you will recognize that it's the wrong way, right? But the next time you get the same problem, you will still make that mistake. So you have to stop and correct it. So I guess it's the same thing with art. You kind of have to stop and correct yourself if you arrive at like a problem. That is also yet another digression. It's not really related to what we're doing right now. But we're not doing anything right now, I guess. We're just talking. So I guess it is related. Oh, this is a really interesting angle. Look at that. When I was in Hong Kong, I may not have, you know, entered some kind of building like this just so I can take a look, even though I'm not supposed to. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. Like the same building, we have multiple stairwells, and each stairwell can only access their own set of apartments, right? Which kind of makes sense, I suppose. But like the apartments that I've been used to has these corridors, right, that connects all flats on the same floor. But yeah, it's interesting to see a different type of design. But I digress again. What are we talking about again? It's gonna take me a few days to get you to not just feel awkward, but 3 weeks to fully feel comfortable as I do on paper. Ah, okay. Thank you, Sho. Personal experience, of course, but n equals to 1 is better than n equals to 0. I did use a Wacom Bamboo when I first started out, quote unquote, when I first started out 10 years ago. By that I mean like I did scribbles on Paint to Sai 10 years ago. Constant big printer make you get used to it more or less. Or is it bad if you don't always be able to finish it? I think as long as you're pushing yourself, you are sort of tackling problems that you don't know, right? That's the thing about art, because like for the most part, you don't know a lot of things. So you probably run into 10 different problems, and if you even just work on one of them, I think that's great. Like today, we ran into so many problems, and even though we may not necessarily have corrected the problem, we kind of are challenging ourselves by trying to solve the problem. Actually, the more I look at this, the less it looks like a sky, and I see what Sho mean by it being a mountain. Setting up this perspective itself, right? Exploring the ruler, understanding that the ruler is useful in that it maintains some kind of physical relationship to make it realistic, but not necessarily artistically as flexible and free as we would like it to be, right? As some of the other representations of Fisheye Lens was. So these are all like really important pieces of information, because now you can build on top of it. So I don't think you have to tackle everything. Like if we have to abandon this comp, which is most likely going to be the case, right? That's fine. Now I have this idea in my head. Hopefully. The ring in Roman cavalry was Savior. Be my mirror, my sword and shield. It might just, maybe it would just draw like, oh, okay. You know what? I can maybe show this part. What am I doing? Sorry, where's my screen? Here. I've been kind of on and off working on like a set of reps for Ria for a very specific purpose, and it requires a lot of iterations. So there's like a lot of iterations here. This actually was spawned from our sketch earlier last week, I think, the one with the bed. This one here, because I want to come up with a set of reps that I don't get weirded out. You know, like you look at something for a really long time. Either it starts looking weird when it's not supposed to, or it starts looking good when it's not supposed to. So having something that looks good already, and then trying to work off of that is I think the best way to do it, because you're not being subjective anymore. You're being objective to this subjective representation that you have did it before, but has cleared your checks, right? So now you can remain subjective by having something that you like, but be objective about it, so you don't keep changing it. But then this is the constant iteration. You're changing it, making the eyes bigger, making the eyes even bigger to the point where it looks weird. And then now if it looks weird, we take one step back and then we're like, oh, okay. This is a furry representation, so the muzzle here, right? The snout, the muzzle, I don't know what the difference between the words is. This is what I'm working on. Why I'm working on it, I can't really talk about it, but like it's gonna be completely private and personal, so it doesn't have anything to do with the stream or anything that you guys will probably see. Probably. Maybe one day you guys will see it. But yeah, this is just me working through all the different problems. Moving the nose slightly higher by a couple pixels. Moving the eyes lower, and then the nose lower together. Different representation. Make the eyes bigger in proportion. There's a difference between making the eyes bigger where the pupil itself, like just the black part gets bigger, or like the entire thing gets bigger in like while maintaining proportion, right? Because then this space also gets bigger. And this space here gets maintained. And then we can move the eyes up and down, and then we try to make it more younger, right? More lolly. And then I've been doing this for like the past like all the off-stream time, not all of it, but a lot of options. This is like 50 hours in. But sorry, you guys are not seeing the full 50 hours. You guys are seeing maybe like a couple hours, like 2 or 3 hours of the 50 hours. But in the process, I have iterated through so many different frames. Like you can, this taper here, right? This taper here versus something that is like even more tapered. Like this is actually expanded a little bit more on this. If you look at the eye distance, actually I'm not even sure. Yeah, it is wider face. I did make a note of it. So this face versus this face versus something that is more square, right? Like obviously it's not like this, but this is a lot more pulled out. And then there's also the different stylizations. So there's head to shoulder ratio that you kind of want to maintain depending on what you want to do, right? Even just like normal moe art, you're not drawing necessarily lollies, you're not necessarily drawing very young character, but you're just drawing that sort of typical moe vibe, which I guess nowadays is recognized as more of just being a lolly proportion. Despite me not thinking that is so, but regardless. There's a lot of knobs to play with. Like this distance between the head and the eyes versus this. Actually, there's a good example of it here. These two, the only difference is that you move this line down. This maintains like almost like a 1/3 relationship, maybe like 1 to 1.2. Like this is like 1.2 times this, maybe 1.2, 1.5. Whereas this is almost 1 to 1, almost. And the vibes are quite different despite this thing being maintained. So like all these different things are like literally a few pixels off, and they feel very different. I don't know why I'm bringing this up. I think I'm just done with drawing, and I'm just talking about stuff that I did off stream. So I can feel like it's not a complete waste of time. Right, and then expanding the face again. I also like the eyes. I think eventually maybe we can do like a more of a breakdown into like the different type of proportions. There's like the lolly proportion, but then there's like the furry proportion, which is also kind of lolly, but not the same kind. Because they squish the face so much. Like, for example, like this. Where you are kind of keeping this head really big, but the chin at the same time is also really small. Like this area is also very small. It's almost 1-to-1 with the eyes distance. Whereas this is not so much like that. There's still more space here. Even if this here is similar. But I digress. And then this whole thing is repeated for like bodies and shoulder widths and then this and that. So it's been kind of a lot of work. But regardless. Yeah, what was I sequencing here? Oh yeah, there's this tick system that I'm trying to represent if it feels good or not. And what I'm realizing is that it's very inconsistent. It's highly inconsistent. It depends on what you have seen recently and what you've been working on recently. Sometimes it looks fine, sometimes it doesn't. Right, and then the head to shoulder, the shoulder to body, body length, arm length. And then in terms of furry proportion, that's the issue if you're making the hands are big or small. Because furry hands are so big. But yeah, anyways, I think I've probably said this so many times before, but we really need to stick to just photos and not having to necessarily try to be that original. It'd be nice if we could. We should give it a try, but if we spend like so many streams not actually rendering, I feel like there is a gap there too. This is a really good one, actually. We can just have her stand here. Oh, but okay, but we run into the old problem again of like if I'm trying to do... If I say have her be buying groceries and coming back up with like bags of groceries, it implies that she lives here. Oh, okay, so sorry, this is all mental problems on my side because I'm trying to mentally gymnastic myself out of this problem where it becomes canon that she lived there. But it doesn't have to be canon in the sense... It can be canon in the sense that she's just been there temporarily, right? Renting a house. That's also fine. And now all of a sudden it's fine. We can just do it. Yeah. Why did the other one fail before again? Wasn't there one where we did the water and then it sucked? Like this one. Why did this fail? The grass representation, I guess? The walls stylization? So we're gonna run into the same problems, right? No matter what. So texture is gonna be a problem still. So we still have a texturing problem. Why didn't we... Because the requirements are not as tight. Right, that's why we keep bouncing, I think. It's because I think using photos is the easiest way to do something. But when we do use it, we still cannot execute to the satisfactory level. So it feels like the path is wrong. So not only do I need to change the plan to just do this and then silence the part of my brain that's trying to be super original, I also have to set expectations accordingly. Do not set it too high. And then I see what's gonna happen. We're gonna do a photo. It's not gonna work that well. And then I'm gonna be like, oh, we gotta do a study. Then we do a study. Maybe learn something, maybe not learn something. And then we go back to... It's like the same cycle. You can even see it in the thing here, I'm sure. Because study, try to ideate. Nothing really that we want to do. Didn't really work out. Did some more ideation over here. Didn't really work out. Started doing studies. More studies. Tried to do original. Didn't work. And then I gave up because I got tired. And then we just do stupid random original stuff. This is a kind of a study. Also not a study. This is a study pretty much. Then that spawned this because it felt natural to color some of it. Tried to replicate the success, quote unquote. Kind of worked, but not as well as I wish for it to be. Random sketches, random sketches, random sketch. Try to do more original stuff in the same vein. And by this time we get even more gated. We didn't even get past the comp and the initial setup. And then now all of a sudden I'm like, yeah, let's go back to photos again. So we're restarting the cycle. I mean, it's whatever, dude. It's whatever, dude. Oh my god, I'm so done, dude. Oh man. The shortcut, the more effective way to learn this would be to really find an artist that is technically very, very strong. And just be like, hey, I did this thing. It sucked. Can you make it better? That would be the fastest way. Yeah, I think this is interesting. I think we have enough data nowadays. With like 350 streams, I think I can go into the thumbnails. I can compile all the thumbnails out into a sequence. We can look at all the thumbnails in sequence and see what we have been doing the whole time and how we feel about it, right? Because we go like, this is thumbnail 69, and then like as we do this, I sort of have a vague idea of why I'm doing it. Whether if I'm burnt out, like I know I did this animation because we were burnt out drawing and doing anatomy stuff. I even have it here, right? So we can draw like a plot. I can draw like a plot of how I feel about how fatigued I am, how I feel about my skill, and what we've been working on. And we can probably see cycles in this. We can probably see cycles of me doing studies back into this and why we keep switching back and forth, because one thing that we try sucked. So okay, back to studies, right? Back to studies. Studies feels like we didn't learn anything, don't know how to apply it. It's like, okay, let's try to do some random sketches. I'm so tired. Random sketches inspire me again. And then all of a sudden we're like, oh shit, we need to try and do something original. Original doesn't work. More studies. Alright, yeah, this is original stuff. Oh, study plus original. Oh shit, didn't know how to cut. Oh, don't know how to render characters. Study character. Oh, try to apply it. Kinda sucked. More studies. Oh, live 2D. I was like, fuck. I have to say, this face looked like crap. This face looked like absolute dog shit. But it's got a different requirement. Because everything here is going to be blocked by the hair anyways. But this is so not good. Random sketches. Render that and didn't finish. Oh, this was the idea I was talking about. Against the background. Against this background. Just jumping. Oh, a study that I never quite finished. Because it was too overwhelming. Actually, this is a good it's a good thing to keep in mind before I try to do anything else. But I think in this case here is because I was trying to be too tight, too early. So incurring a lot of the costs of trying to keep things straight and stuff when it's not that important in the beginning stages. Try to apply it. Kind of worked, I suppose. More studies. Oh, remember the time I was posting shorts? Oh shit, yeah, that was the thing, wasn't it? Oh, this was when we made the server. Oh, dang, dude. Well, you see, Lo-Fi Luna, that is a great question. But the answer to that question is I don't know. Because if you look at the stream title, it is about style development. So we are basically in the process of figuring out the answer to that question. I myself do not know. It would appear that I do like rendering. But at the same time, I also really hate rendering. I like how it looks, I don't like doing it. Because I suck at it, basically. It's what it is. Oh man, we're like almost 2,000 hours into this BS, and I feel like we're stagnating. But honestly, it doesn't feel too different from how it always felt. That's why I'm also kind of okay with it, because I'm just like, yeah, this is probably how it feels like always, until you get good enough where it doesn't become a concern anymore. Anyways, a lot of nonsense. My screen is flickering like crazy right now. I can't do anything. Not that I'm going to anyways. I think I'll just hop off here. Tomorrow, we'll probably go back to either studying a photo or studying someone's art. I think. Is that right? The virus, you think so? I honestly can't tell because I'm in the thick of it. And also from my perspective, it feels like the same problem because I'm dealing with a lot of mental related stuff. No, I'm not trying to say that it's like a mental issue, like something that is like psychiatrically you have to be evaluated and get a therapist. It's not, well, maybe I should get a therapist. But it's not like stuff like that. It's mostly just because there's a lot of ideas and ideals. It's mostly just because there's a lot of expectations and things that I've been struggling with that's very much tied into everything. That I feel like I'm constantly, that's why I feel like I'm constantly stuck on the same thing. Because it's always been the same thing to me. It's always been the same set of problems. But maybe from a technical art perspective, maybe from a third party's point of view, we have been dealing with new problems here and there, I think. Because from my end, it always feels like a mental block kind of thing, where I just am unable to accept something because I'm too inflexible, or because I have too much expectation, or I have too much preconceived notion and rules about doing things, and what I think is an artist, or painting or art. Even if I want to reject it, it's just so ingrained. Some things are that it's really hard to reject it. How to use and make and adjust them? Yeah, like. Yeah, I mean, even if I guess like my counterpoint to that is that we've kind of tackled textures before, we've kind of tackled fisheye before, but of course, right? Each time we're making headway, each time we're pushing a little bit further into this problem, and even though each time we encounter failure, it is a failure that is further along in the journey than it was before. It just feels like it's the same problem. It just feels like we've not made too much progress. Which is both true and not true, right? We made progress, I guess, but the progress is just not as fast as we would like it to be. As it always is. Yeah, and then I keep questioning my own sort of motives and desire and motivations. Like, does it have to be like this, right? Does it have to be so tiring every time? Do I have to make this push? Do I have to get better at art? Isn't what I have enough to be able to draw some characters, to put some colors down? Even I myself recognize that something like this is satisfactory, you know? It's not insanely good. It's not even necessarily good by other people's metrics. Do we really have to go much further than this to achieve what I want to do? That is like the biggest question, right? Because again, like up to this point in time, we are all just trying to set up to be at the starting line. We're not actually doing what I want to do. We're not actually crafting the stories. We're not actually telling the stories and fleshing out the character as directly as I'd like it to. Maybe we couldn't possibly do it physically, even if I tried, but the attention is not there, right? Like, definitely not like I prefer 2,000 hours of mobile game, but just like, you know, instead of spending time grinding at something technical, maybe we should explore the storytelling more instead. But then that we were doing that, right? And I was just saying that I don't have the capacity to do it now because my mind is stuck on the technical aspect of something else. Right, make that one big cool illustration. It's wonderful that art is so open-ended, but at the same time, because it is so open-ended, no one can truly guide you to where you want to be and tell you what is the correct thing to do. Only you can decide what it is. And for someone like me who is like very much into like math and science where there's a correct answer, there is no objective way to sort of define what is correct because there's way too many requirements. There's way too many things and way too many changing variables on a daily basis to make it consistent and to have that decision making be done consistently and objectively correct. That is true. Actually, let's take a quick look at that, right? Because I don't have a concept of making textures back then. What did I do for it? Because in my head, I remember it being a little bit rough. So, oh, I see what brush it is. There's only one brush here. It is that one square brush with a concrete texture on it. And I suppose it's kind of okay because I left Ria herself clean. So there is that contrast there. Oh, and a cloud brush for the area here. Everything else is just a full sand. After doing a study though for colors. Oh my god. There are so many control knobs to turn. Your energy level, your motivation level, your ability to sort of mental gymnastic, my ability to mental gymnastic away from trying to be canon. Or trying to make something. Because this isn't necessarily canon either. But what is canon though? What is canon when I don't have a story? What is canon when I don't have her character fleshed out in the first place, right? My whole point is to discover her true art. So everything should be canon. And I should just accept it as it comes. Because if I spend enough, if I have a desire to finish it and draw it, then surely it must mean something. And as a result of that, surely it must then be canon in some way, shape, or form. So rather than being worried about that it not being canon, or it shouldn't be canon, we should just accept what comes. I'm so tired, man. Like, my stupid own requirements and my own stupid problems and my own stupid mental blocks and everything is just all in my head. There's nothing physically there stopping me. At this point, not even technical skill anymore. It's not the best, but we definitely have enough to do things. What do I want, man? What do I want, chat? What do I want? What do I want? Yeah, what more am I trying to learn and do, right? What is it that I wanted? This was done 2 years ago. 3 years ago, almost. Almost 3 full years ago. What am I on about, right? What am I on about? Like, even this, right? This was 2021. Did I sign this? No, I didn't. This is 2020, 2021. This was done immediately after the previous one. This was just a fan art, but even then, chromatic aberration, particles, right? Even if I didn't have a clear concept of particles, I still added them because I thought it looked good. So the sense was already there. We have the subtle gradient transition to the corners. So we set up the atmosphere a bit more, right? To tie the values together a bit more. I made a video about this one on Ria and I's birthday. Well, I gave her my same birthday because I don't know what to do with it. This one we're just looking at. This piece that where we studied the hair. This is Ludwig's study. The bigger problem with this is just that I don't know what to do with this. But even then, even with the sleeves and the clothing just kind of like messed up, it looks fine. It looks great. We've got reflected light suggesting more forms. The sock isn't necessarily the smoothest looking, but it works. This one here, right? The particles, the lighting, the effects, and then the glow. I don't know, man. I don't know what I'm on about. I really don't know what's happening. This one here where we set up like this background. This is a photo in the background, by the way. But it's got this additional glow effect. I forgot how I set this up. If I can find the file, I can figure it out. But it's set up in a way where there's this glow and all the particles and like the glittering. It's just trying to make it seem like so magical, right? Where you're so infatuated with a character or with a person in real life that everything seems so magical and beautiful. And then it's got this dot texture here as well to kind of, I'm not sure what it's there to do, but it gives it it makes me smell plastic. I don't know if you guys know like those pages in the book where it's made out of plastic rather than paper. And you can kind of smell the plastic in it. This is why it's making me smell. There's this and this one here as well. This was only drawn for a friend. Like I didn't have any requirements other than having these two characters because he liked these two characters. The proudest thing I have for this is the texture on the plate. I forgot what this is. I think this is one of those like stems for like doing buildings. So these are windows that you're looking at, but they're just kind of slapped in there to kind of give it a bit more texture. Right, this one with the atmosphere and everything. Right, they're not like Arknights kind of level, but they've always kind of been at a decent level. This was 2024. This is also 2024. This is probably done afterwards. I don't know where the sign is. Oh, it's over here. 2024, August 28th. This is a 21 by 9 widescreen. I did a lot of iteration to drop the values down. So even back then, I kind of knew this is what I liked. I just couldn't verbalize it. The rendering is very simple. It's alpha setup, right? Sorry, binary setup with just some gradients across each part. And this part has like an additional layer for the brighter stuff, but that's about it. Oh, wow, okay. I didn't realize I did this back then, but I didn't do the black line outline for the eyes. I still do that now because I do enjoy the lines a lot more now. This one has that line, you see that line there? This is more smooth out. There's also glow on all the lighting. And then these series of stuff that I drew were mostly unreferenced, only for the wolf. The colors were not referenced. I actually crept this out by myself, which I was pretty proud of back then. That's why I tried to keep it going for a little bit. Oh yeah, I was doing difference, I think. The bottom here, there's like this difference. This specific effect is very, very subtle, because if you do it too strongly, it becomes too eye-catching. But it's a very subtle effect here where the colors are kind of blended together with a layer on, I think it's on difference mode. Either difference mode or exclusion. And that's just a gradient applied on top that fades out as it goes a little bit higher. This one was discovering the noise, adding to it all and making it more sparkly and sand, like golden sand. This one was the balloons. This was a study of a photo. I think this is the first time I truly accepted using a round brush and leaving the brushstroke to be super duper apparent. Mostly because when there's enough color, this is surprisingly easy to do, by the way, because you have the bigger form shape, right? That is the big 7 and the 1, and then everything else is just a little bit of like circle brushstrokes. That's about it. You just need to have enough colors. That's the trick to this. You have enough colors to show enough form, and then that's about it. Like the light you can see is not very tight. It's not like every bright brushstroke is accompanied with a darker brushstroke, right? Which in real life that would be the case, because you have one side that's bright and one side that's dark. So and these were all done before the stream, by the way. Before our additional, at this point, like 1,200, 300 hours of practicing and grinding. This was all, everything up to this point has been before streams. Also, thank you, Lo-Fi Luna. The wolves themselves, I don't do a lot of animal studies, so these were just like photos on the spot, and then we just try to copy as much as I can. This one here is the first time I did animals, I'm pretty sure. Is that true? I think it's probably true, because this is 2023. Everything before that is more of a fan art thing. Man, dude, I'm so caught up on something. I don't know what I'm caught up on. I think I've always been told to have more confidence in myself, right? But I've never let myself do it because I'm always afraid that once you start believing in yourself, in the sense that you believe in your skills, you start to sort of stop trying to push, right? But at this point, it feels like not believing in myself is what's holding me back, right? It is what's sort of gating me from doing anything and everything. Because I keep feeling that I'm not ready. I keep feeling like I have to do this or I have to do that. But in actuality, maybe you should just throw away all of these ideas. Like, throw away all of the idea of, like, trying to grind and get better technically. And only think about what to draw. Which was kind of like what the conclusion was when we were talking about Pio Tegu before. Because she only thinks about stuff that she wants to draw. She doesn't think about the technical challenges or like not being able to do it because she just does it. Better trees? Hopefully, with the study that we did, hopefully, we might be able to come up with some more interesting forms. But even then, I wouldn't necessarily say that the forms themselves are better. They're just cleaner and perhaps like more textures. Like the textures are a bit more agreeable. Or more visually interesting, rather. Even then, I wouldn't necessarily say so. This feels more impressive, I think, just because there's a lot more colors in there. And of course, when you say that you can render better trees, right, that is part of what you're talking about. But in terms of adding color variation, I'm not really confident that I could add interesting and cohesive color variation yet. Because we didn't really quite study into that. It was mostly a replication of what we just see, not truly understanding why. Yeah, that's why I don't really even necessarily know we're that much better objectively. I just feel slightly more confident in being able to do studies, perhaps, right? Something like this, for example, in the past, I would not dare to try because I cannot visually break it down. I don't know how to do it. But now we're aware that big shapes, small shapes, big shapes, small shapes. Textures, color variation, color jitter, rough things up, markers to adjust colors, which I would absolutely hate. I don't know how to adjust the colors back then, but it's definitely now with markers. With that, I definitely did not use any marker here. I definitely probably did use some kind of marker here. Looking at this here, this kind of looks like markers. But you can see how much I hate it because I kind of knocked out every single part that did have it. The gradients that were set up here are either airbrush or the texture brush, but just very lightly brushed. Yeah. But I mean, I definitely would like to take the win. I would like to take the win, yes. Yes? Yes. My issue now is what am I doing? Yeah, I'm not even sure about anything at all anymore, right? Really. I am just... This is getting more existential by the minute, by the way. Now it's gotten to, like, what am I? Like, what am I here to do, right? Like... The goal has always been the same, right? To bring her to life. But what does it mean? I thought it meant... I still think that it means to have her live on in people's hearts. When people know a character, when people understand who she is, then I've done my job. But how can I do that if I don't know who she is? So the only correct the only proper way forwards is to explore this. And there's only one correct representation of it so far, which is that like horror movie-esque one that we did. Because this one represented the very core thing that has always been true, that has always been the defining feature of her, which is that she is present, and she's always present, regardless of the environment. Maybe not presenting a flower, perhaps. Maybe not even necessarily actively engaging. But the presence is always there, right? The presence is always there. So this here will be the only correct way forwards, only meaningful way forwards. Rendering skills, technical skills, all of those things is meant to help me achieve this. So they're only meaningful if I can achieve this. If not, everything is sunk cost. Everything is wasted. If I spend all my time doing technical practice and never being able to put them down and use them, then it's completely wasted of time. It's a complete waste of time. And previously, up to like we started streams, I would say we simply did not have enough technical skill to draw stuff that we want to draw, because anatomy wise, right, we have no idea how to draw simplify shapes, draw arms, what the muscle groups are. We have zero idea. So that was an absolute skill limit there. So that was absolutely necessary. And then going forwards, there's some talks about rendering quality, talks about textures that we like shape proportions and relative proportions. Do we like big shapes or do we like tiny shapes? What's the ratio between big and small shape? All of these things technically doesn't necessarily matter too much if the idea is there, because you can still represent the same idea. It wouldn't necessarily be as accurate, but the idea can be represented as long as you have enough skill to put the values in the right spot and have things look like what they're supposed to. So objectively, logically, I have cleared the necessary bare minimum criteria to begin this journey. So maybe it's time we flip the script on its head, right? Like I think I talked about this before as well. But when we first started out, it was following a very strict art journey map, like a roadmap, right? And the roadmap was very based in technical skill. And the reason for that is because I felt like technical skill was what's gating us back then. This was the reason that I thought was blocking us, because I couldn't draw all these things and do all these things. And that was true to a certain extent back then. So focusing on technical skill back then makes sense, because technical skill was the problem where even if we have an idea, we couldn't execute it because technical skill would gate us and it would therefore cause the idea to disintegrate. And we talked about this before with the RMAP, with this thing as well, with this key activation sequence, because this was talking about like writing things out so that the idea is always there regardless if you get stuck or not. So now with this thing and with an increased level of skill, we should flip the script where we don't focus on technical stuff. We should only focus on ideas. And only when the ideas come in and we realize there's a technical gap, then we fill in the technical gap. I think I already mentioned this before, but I think this, if we want to proceed properly, this has to be enforced. Very strongly enforced. But then now we add in the additional caveat is that I don't have full attention span on the stream. So that was why I was giving myself this quote-unquote sort of more passive period of time where I'm just kind of doing whatever. But I guess I lost track of what is happening again behind the scenes, right? Because just because I have this clear this clear idea of like, hey, we should really do this part of the ideation and make the technical practices work for this, doesn't mean I have to do it, right? It depends on what the current circumstances are. It's just that I have to be aware that I made this choice consciously, which I keep forgetting. Right. So I just have to be aware of why I'm doing things. If I'm drawing from photos, I need to be aware that I'm doing it not because I think it's necessarily the best way forward, but it's just because it is an easier thing to do for a period of time where I have lowered the capacity. And it will still help. That should be the framing. And that should then keep me on track. At least not make me feel so like we're just going around circles. Because we have been going around circles for a lot of time now. Sorry, Luna, I've been ignoring the message as I try to work on my thoughts, but now that my thoughts are done. An art book is fine, right? But our art book is not really the problem here, right? The problem is still the pieces that go into this book. And currently the issue is what pieces do I draw and how do I make it meaningful? The meaningful part is the really hard part. Yeah, the meaningful part is really hard because for the most part, I've been very dissociated from reality. And this time that I quote unquote spent with my own character is very much just a dream where we don't actually, it's not like it's not like to me she's like living and breathing and just walking around the place all the time, right? It's not even that. To me, she just exists on paper. She exists as an idea. There is no sort of limbs walking or like doing things and picking things up and like jumping around me or like interacting with the environment. There's none of that. So to me, like, how do I say this? Like, maybe from you guys' perspective, it sounds like I have a character that lives on in my head, that is alive, that is breathing, that has its own personality and ideas and all that. But in reality, I don't even have that, right? I am just as clueless about her as you guys are. The only thing I have to go off of are my memories, which I have explicitly tried to forget. Because I didn't like it, right? The parts where she shined in my life are the times where I didn't really want to remember. And the thing that she helped me do was to dissociate from this reality, to get through things that I had to get through. And by virtue of doing that, inherently, I don't remember those things. And inherently, it's blank, it's empty. I just have a rough idea that she has always been there. Through what circumstances, through what situations, I really don't remember too much. That's why it's so hard. As much as I want to do this journey of like just going through and do the ideation part, for it to be meaningful, I have to recover these things that I've lost. And I don't know if it's possible. 5 years ago, I remember some things. I feel like sometimes I get really inspired and I remember scenes from the past. But I also recognize that 5 years ago, so 5 years ago, I already recognized that it was fading. Like the memories are fading even more. Because the activations, like these inspirational moments are getting less and less and less. And I haven't had one in a couple of years now. So it's just, I don't know what to base her off of. The stuff that I would like to base her off of, I kind of lost time. I mean, even then, like, there's still representation, right? I think that's the beauty of life and art, is that just because the original thing is lost doesn't mean that I can't draw her still, right? I can draw this new reality where we are trying to find our past, which is also kind of what I talked about with this piece that we did here, right? Where it can be a journey of recovering memories. But then again, there's still the problem of actually recovering those memories. I have to at least know where they kind of occurred to really try to set up something where we can try to explore that. So there is still a challenge there, but even then, right, this new reality that we have is still a way forwards. Yeah, if I use one word to define her, what would that be, right? It would be her presence. It would be comfort. No, it would be stability. Or rather constant. In a world, right? Life, everything changes, right? The only constant in life is change. But she is also a constant. That is why she brings comfort. Because no matter how bad things get, there is a stability. There is a thing that doesn't change. And that would be her presence. Maybe her herself would change, but she is always present. And that's why I don't feel as scared, because she's always there. Sorry, let me just write this down, because today's discovery is kind of interesting. So before that, there's also the texture. This is like from like 2 weeks ago, by the way. I'm just dumping them off my head, so I can drop it off my key. of my list here. So and then today, right? So journey thus far. What did I? What? No. Uh. Oh wait, sorry. It's here. I got it. Yes. Uh. okay. There's a minor gap here between the two sequences, but yeah. I need to hold this in my head. This has to be really clear that we are doing things for a specific reason, right? And I think I can at least trust myself to be to always hold this to be true, right? I don't like doing things for no reason. So if I'm doing something, there should be a reason for it. And that reason, I just need to remember what the decision making was. I trust myself to make decisions that are logical and have the bigger, broader picture in mind, right? So the important thing is to have the broader picture in mind. That not only includes the reason for art and the objectives for art, but also everything else that's going on in life, because life is not just a single thing. And as long as that's the case, sorry, where's my... Alright. As long as I go into any stream or any time I invest time into something, this is like a general statement about life too, I think. It's not just about art anymore. But like, as long as we're consciously making a decision, understanding why we're making it, and what the broader picture is, and how this helps or doesn't help, you know, and be accepting of that reason, then whatever we do is fine. Because presumably we would have made the value judgment already. Do the value proposition on both sides, pros and cons, and then do it. But yeah, anyways, what does this mean, right? This means that if we have an idea, so to just to wrap up, right? Just to wrap up and come back to this. This means that if we have an idea that is relevant to her story, to my goal of bringing her to life, we should prioritize that. We should prioritize the ideation, we should prioritize the composition, we should prioritize telling that story. And then after that, try to bring it to life. And if we have technical issues, we try to solve that. If we reach a point, right, this is important. If we reach a point where we get stuck enough that I don't want to work on it anymore, we can still also make the value like that judgment call to say like, hey, we don't want to work on this anymore. Let's work on something else. That's fine. That's also fine. It doesn't mean we go down one path. We cannot stop doing that one path for that one thing. And then on the contrary, if I come in today and say like, I really want to study this, not for any particular reason necessarily, just because I like it. I don't necessarily know if you're helping in some way, just because I like it. That's also fine as long as I figure that, okay, I'm doing a study today, I'm gonna spend this, like the next few days doing this study, and that means I'm not gonna spend the next few days doing something more story related. And if I accept that, we can do that, and that's fine. I don't have to be like 3 days later, I'm like, oh shit, I didn't do anything for my own story. Let's go back to it, right? I mean, I could feel that, but it shouldn't come as a result of me doing the study. It should be coming as a result of me after doing the study and making yet another judgment call in a vacuum, right? Accounting for, I guess not in the vacuum, but with all the previous experience. There's a very minor different shift, I think, in the way you make the decision. But it's still distinct, I think. It's not very clear in my head just yet, because we haven't done this yet. Once we do it, it'll probably be a little bit clearer. Perhaps not. I don't know. Is conscious of S here? This looks weird. Yeah, that's weirder. Anyways, that being said, what am I gonna do tomorrow? I don't know. Given that we don't have a clear idea of what to... unless I spend time thinking about our story, like me and Ria's story, of what we've gone through, and have something to latch onto. If not tomorrow, it's just probably gonna be a study again of a photo with her in it, possibly with or without her in it. I will try to maybe set the focus to be more study and apply the texture brushy ease, rather than trying to be too original. Let's how about that? And then try to keep to this plan while I sort out the other thing. My god, the other thing is really really sucks. Anyways, I've kind of gone over by quite a bit today, just me ranting about shit. Why is it so hard, dude? Why can I not just draw anime like boobies and like be done with it? I do kind of like the rendering for this though. I think the fact that the original rough is left in and we airbrushed over it a couple times and changed the color a couple times mean that it's a lot more cohesive here, and then we came in later with the darker brush and it only emphasizes the edges that required. It kind of finally get a bit of that vibe that I've been seeing in other people's art that I like so much. But anyways, I digress. If everything is too easy, is that true? Yeah, I hate to admit it. I think that would be true. I think I see that in games. But I mean, it's always a balance in life, right? Like, I feel like we've just been so... Like, this art thing has been so difficult the whole 1,700 hours or so, right? Throughout my entire lifetime. I think maybe we're close to 2,000 hours now. That I just want to take it easy, man. I think it's time to retire, dude, from this really thinky kind of doing things way. But unfortunately, I can't. Because I don't have the... Yeah. If I have a wish right now, maybe I'll just wish for her to be real, and then I don't have to go through this hard work. And then we can make a new story together somehow. But I don't have a free wish right now, so that's unfortunate. Anyways, thank you guys for joining me today and listening to me rant about stuff that is probably not very consequential to you guys at all. Maybe, maybe not, right? I can't make the judgment call. It'll be up to you guys, but regardless, thank you. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good night, guys. Goodbye.